Sonoma County. For many people, Sonoma conjures up images of rolling hills, world-class vineyards, and weekend wine tasting getaways. However, there's more than just grapes being grown here.
There are some new rules and regulations around the corner, which is going to create more public access to these farms, potentially retail sales. Sonoma County is headed in a quite progressive direction as it relates to cannabis and tourism.
Sonoma County has a great climate for growing grapes, but it's also a great climate for cannabis. The warm, dry summers, cool overnights, and late start to the rainy season means in the fall, you can end up with a field like this.
It's got its challenges like growing cannabis anywhere.
Eric Pearson is a cannabis grower in Sonoma County and CEO of Spark. He's grown cannabis in California for more than a decade.
You know, this year's been great. You know, it's been extremely dry, a little bit hotter than we like, but with that we get drier evenings and drier mornings, and that results in less mold pressure, and that results in us letting the flowers fully mature, which it's those last week or so that really you count on to really get a ripe fruit.
Like most things grown in Sonoma, occasional fog, molds, and temperature swings pose natural challenges to the cannabis crop. And in recent years, the heat has become more of a concern.
It's just hotter. We've never had 102. It's not great for the flower production, but at least if it's hot, it's not wet, typically.
Temperature plays a part in the color and taste of the cannabis. Extended periods of heat mellow out the flavor.
Well, here's a nice purple one here. That's kind of pretty there. I know that's too far away. This one back here.
And you want that color, right?
Yeah, people like purple. Well, they'll be picky sometimes. There's too purple, they don't want it. It's hard to please people sometimes.
With the calendar approaching November and the nights getting cooler, the harvest is in full swing. And following a great growing season, there's a lot of work to be done.
So what we're doing right now is we're getting all of our cannabis hung dry. So we have these awesome racks that we're able to double stack, and we have this amazing facility that we're able to actually control all the temperatures and variables.
Max Bowen also grows cannabis in Sonoma, which he says is the best place to grow. Watching the harvest come in from the fields, it's easy to see why.
This is freshly cut off the plant. We cut it to size of the bins so it fits exactly on the hangers as we need it to maximize every square inch. And when we're in here, a lot of the workers are able to spot issues maybe we didn't catch in the field. This is gonna be probably a 10 to 12 hour day. We actually hand trim everything, whereas a lot of people will use machines.
Once cannabis is trimmed and hung, it's moved to huge drying rooms on site.
We aim to get the moisture content of this plant down to 50% within as quick as we can, really, to stop any molds that may be hanging out. And then after we get it down to 50%, we ease back the system a little bit to let it dry slower. So we get a better cure, preserves more of the terpenes, which is what creates the smell of the cannabis.
During my visit, this room smelled the most like cannabis. Plants in the field had that distinctive smell, but it was more amplified in this confined space. And Eric tells me that's a good thing.
You trim it, you put it into a bag, and then when you open that bag, you want it to still smell. As you get further down the process and closer to the bag, it gets more and more challenging to preserve that nose. The consumer wants that smell, whether it be something more along the lines of like a diesel or fuel, or something more tropical, like a lime or a lemon.
The cannabis will stay in this room for 10 to 14 days. From here, it gets trimmed and shipped to Santa Rosa to be produced and packaged. If it passes strict safety testing, it'll be shipped to dispensaries across the state. If it doesn't pass, they have to discard the entire batch.
We have such stringent testing that it's down to the parts per billion in the plants. And if we even tried to use something, it would come up in a test and we'd have to throw it away. One of the biggest issues a lot of farmers here in Sonoma County have gone up against is when they're next to vineyards. The stuff that are neighboring the fences all start testing dirty. It's a real problem.
But the weather and vineyard pesticides aren't the only challenges these growers face.
We're working with our county government right now to make changes in the ordinance. We have a canopy tax here that's charged locally. I think it's like $35,000 an acre. It was twice that for outdoor. We've got that reduced significantly last year.
Eric and Max say unlike cannabis farmers, grape growers face far fewer taxes in Sonoma County and have extensive subsidies, giving wineries in Sonoma a competitive economic edge.
Why would you want to tax your businesses a whole bunch in your county and make them less competitive on a state level? When I have a cultivation tax I have to pay here, I have to pass that through on the product that I sell, and I'm selling my product up and down the state of California. That means my product, when it gets to LA, is going to cost more money than that product coming from a county that doesn't have a cultivation tax, right?
Eric says reducing taxes is a relatively easy change that would help immediately.
Not necessarily politically easy to do, but in theory, an easy law to change.
Another element of cannabis law Eric would like to see changed regards tourism, being able to invite the public to the farms. That's something not currently allowed under county law.
You've got your people watching TV, think this is interesting. Allow me to be able to say, you know what, you can come on up and take a look at it, you know, and you can buy cannabis from our little farm stand here. You can come out, you can have a nice afternoon and do your thing. That would be hugely beneficial to us.
Still tracking a level 4 out of 5 atmospheric river, but notice the landfall locations actually shifted south over the last 24 hours. This is what it has looked like for most of this week, where the models were showing the center of that atmospheric river making landfall somewhere near Mendocino County, essentially, with most of that moisture basically north of Interstate 80 up into the far northern part of the state. But over the last 24 hours, basically all the models are coalescing around a solution that sees landfall near the Bay Area following I-80 inland into the capital region, which changes the impacts that we will see here at home. So some heavier rain in the capital region is now expected through the weekend. With higher rainfall totals, it'll be a longer duration event. There's also increasing flood potential, not necessarily widespread river flooding, but with this longer duration atmospheric river that's going to bring us heavier rain, we certainly are likely to see some urban flooding where maybe some parking lots flood. Roads that are prone to flooding are likely going to see some issues as well. Here's Futurecast today. Building clouds, we stay dry. Weather's just fine. As we go into tomorrow morning, though, rain starts to arrive. Snow pushes in as well, above about 6,000 feet. Tomorrow's going to be a lighter rain, not super heavy tomorrow. Decent amount of snow tomorrow at the passes as well, with some chain controls likely. But Saturday's when that heavier rain moves in, and notice the snow levels are going to be much higher as well, especially Saturday night into Sunday morning. This is about 11 o'clock on Saturday night. Essentially no snow is being shown on the model here, just very heavy rain, and that continues. I mean, look at this. We got shades of red up in the high country as we wake up on Sunday morning. So again, rainfall totals for Friday, a quarter of an inch or so across the metro. Then for Saturday, look at this. Now we're about an inch and a half to 2.5 inches across the metro area. But rain up in the high country, we could see about 4+ inches. That rain continues Sunday, and now by Sunday at about 9 o'clock, we're looking at rainfall totals of maybe 6 to 7 inches across parts of the foothills, 2 to 4 inches across parts of the metro area. So this is going to be heavy rain through the weekend, and again, very high snow levels through Saturday, and especially Saturday night into Sunday morning. So that means mainly rain up in the high country and even at the bases of the ski resorts. So this is a very dynamic system, and we do have weather impact alerts extending through the weekend and into next week. Weather impact alert number 1 is Friday through Sunday for heavy valley rain as much as about 3 inches, very high Sierra snow with rain below about 7,000 feet. It's going to be windy as well. Weather impact alert number 2 is Monday through Wednesday, basically the same in terms of rain in the valley, but it's going to have much more typical snow levels, about 6,000 feet, then closer to 4,000 feet on Wednesday. So the Tahoe 7-day forecast through the weekend with that first weather impact alert, mainly rain in South Lake Tahoe. Then we start to shift over to snow as we go Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Here in the valley, weather impact alerts begin tomorrow for very heavy rain, especially Saturday. But this is 2 distinct systems coming through. So Friday through Sunday is going to have heavy rain, higher snow levels. Monday through Wednesday is going to still have some heavy rain, but some more typical snow levels. Very dynamic system. Be sure to stay tuned for the very latest updates. You may have seen these before. These are called climate stripes or warming stripes. Each stripe represents 1 year starting back at 1850 to modern day. The darker the blue, the cooler the year, and the darker the red, the warmer the year. And the baseline that we're using is 1960 to 2010. What you notice is there's a lot of blue on one side and a lot more red on the other. Another way to visualize this is by putting it on an actual chart, and you'll notice that until about 1980 or so, we were never warmer than that 1960 to 2010 average. But since about 1980, almost every year has been warmer than the previous year. We can localize this to Sacramento as well, and the climate stripes tell a very similar story. A lot of blue on one side and a lot more red on the other. So we know that something is changing, and that something is carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s, we have continuously been emitting carbon dioxide, more and more of it at an increasing rate. And that means our global average temperature is increasing with that CO2 as well, because carbon dioxide traps heat in the atmosphere, and it lasts in the atmosphere for a long time. And the levels of CO2 that we have today have been unseen in more than 1 million years. So we know that this is something that we are doing and not something that's occurring naturally. What this is doing is it's shifting our baselines. Our normal days are warmer than what they were 50 years ago, and much, much warmer than what they were 100 years ago. This shifting baseline is also allowing us to see more extreme heat and sometimes temperatures that would have been almost impossible to see without climate change. We can quantify this to Sacramento by looking at the number of summer days above average. In the last 50 years, we're seeing 2 additional weeks of above average temperatures today than what we would have seen about 1970. And a lot of that warming is occurring during the overnight hours. Our average low temperature in Sacramento is about 3 degrees warmer than what it was 50 years ago. So we know that things are getting warmer, and that is the point of these stripes. They're telling a story, and that story is one of change.